What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Frontline, your ultimate destination for everything cinema, culture, and all the tea you need on the biggest upcoming releases. I'm your host, and today we are diving deep into something that is about to make your skin crawl in the best way possible. If you're a horror aficionado like me, someone who lives for that perfect blend of psychological trauma and supernatural dread, then you've likely seen the buzz building around the new trailer for Diabolic. This isn't just another jump scare fest, girls. We are talking about a project that's being hailed as the next potential breakout in religious horror, starring the absolutely magnetic Elizabeth Cullen. We've seen religious horror done a million times, but Diabolic feels like it's bringing a fresh, high-stakes energy to the table that we haven't seen since Hereditary or The Witch. So, grab your matcha, get comfortable, and let's break down every single terrifying detail from this trailer. The trailer opens by introducing us to Elise, played by the incredibly talented Elizabeth Cullen. Now, if you haven't been following her career, Elizabeth is a total rising star, and in Diabolic, she is giving us a performance that looks absolutely gut-wrenching. The story centers on Elise, a woman who is literally being haunted by her own mind, or at least that's what she thinks at first. She's suffering from these unexplained, violent blackouts that are essentially erasing chunks of her life. But here's where the girl boss energy meets high stakes drama. Instead of just lying down and tating it, Elise decides to confront her trauma head on. The problem? That trauma is rooted in a fundamentalist Mormon compound where she was raised. We see flashes of her past, the excommunication, the repression, and a specific baptism for the dead ritual that took place when she was 17. This isn't just a religious backstory, it's the core of the horror. In the trailer, we see Elise returning to the abandoned town of Haventon, Utah, with her boyfriend, Adam, played by John Harlan Kim, and her best friend, Gwen, Mia Chalice. The atmosphere in these shots is impeccable. Director Daniel J. Phillips is clearly leaning into that elevated horror aesthetic. Lots of bruised blues, muddy browns, and long, sweeping shots of the Utah wilderness that make you feel totally isolated. But the real kicker is the healing ceremony. Desperate for a cure for her blackouts, Elise participates in a ritual conducted by FLDS elders. They give her a mysterious hallucinogenic drink, total Midsommar vibes here, and tell her they're going to purify her. Instead of a miracle cure, they unwittingly unleash the vengeful spirit of a 19th century witch named Larue. This isn't just some random demon. Larue is a figure erased from Mormon history, and she wants revenge. The trailer starts to spiral into absolute chaos here. We see long, unnerving nails, shadows that move on their own, and Elizabeth Cullen's character literally beginning to fracture. Is she being possessed, or is she finally remembering what they did to her? Let's talk theories, because the internet is already losing its mind over the Larue lore. In the trailer, there's a recurring motif of water, specifically baptismal murk. There's a theory floating around that the witch, Larue, wasn't actually the villain of the original story. Some fans are speculating that she might have been a woman who was wronged by the church elders back in the 1800s, and the evil spirit Elise is carrying might actually be a form of inherited trauma, or a protective entity that the church labeled as diabolic to hide their own sins. Also, keep your eyes peeled for the baptism for the dead references. This is a real-life practice, and the movie seems to be twisting it into something much more sinister. The cinematography by Michael Tessari uses darkness as a literal weapon. Notice how we only see fragments of LaRue's face or her distorted body. This suggests the movie is going to play heavily with the unreliable narrator trope. If Elise is on hallucinogens for half the movie, how much of the demonic activity is real and how much is a manifestation of her psyche? Either way, the body horror elements, like the compound fractures and the long nails seen in the trailer, suggest that the physical stakes are very, very real. Okay, let's get into my personal take on this. Honestly, I am obsessed with the direction they're taking here. Elizabeth Cullen looks like she is putting her entire soul into this role. It's giving fragile but fierce, which is my favorite kind of horror protagonist. I love that the film isn't relying on cheap jump scares. The trailer builds dread through atmosphere and the psychological weight of religious trauma, which is way more terrifying than a monster jumping out of a closet. One thing that really stands out to me is the girl boss subtext. Elise is essentially reclaiming her narrative from a patriarchal religious structure that tried to cast her out. Even if she's being possessed by a witch, there's a sense of dark empowerment there. However, if I have one concern, it's the pacing. Some early reviews from festivals mention that the film takes a bit to get going, focusing heavily on the exposure therapy and the trip to Utah before the real horror hits. But honestly, if the payoff is as bloody and intense as the final quarter of the trailer suggests, I am totally here for the slow burn. The practical effects look top tier, no CGI heavy mess here, and that choral score is going to be stuck in my head for weeks. Diabolic is set to hit theaters and VOD on February 20th, and you can bet I'll be there opening night to see if Elise can survive the spirit of Larue. But what do you guys think? Does the idea of a Mormon witch horror movie intrigue you, or are you tired of the religious possession trope? And more importantly, if you were having mysterious blackouts, would you trust a healing ceremony in the middle of the woods? I sure wouldn't. Drop your theories in the comments below. I want to hear all your takes on Larue and what really happened in Haventon. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Film Frontline for more long-form breakdowns, reviews, and all the Hollywood tea. Stay bold, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.